Coming up on Bear News,
we recreate 17th century life.
Find out about a club here at UNC where you could suit up and fight like a knight.
It means that work is not my entire identity.
Some say math isn't fun. However, we found a math club injecting creativity and connections beyond the numbers.
We're doing London over the summer because of all of the hard work.
Strike or no strike, Girl Scout cookie sales can't be stopped. Bear News starts now. Hello UNC and welcome back to another episode of Bear News. I'm Sophia Tavanello.
And I'm Jamison Rembert. We have a great show for you all this week, so let's get started with what's happening on our campus.
The weather sure has been getting nicer, and recently I was able to go out and enjoy nature's beauty.
Me too. I saw a club meeting at the park the other day, and I wondered what they were up to. Our executive producer, Greg Egbert, has the scoop on some of the activities our Bears are up to.
Glenmere Park. A lovely, scenic, peaceful... As I was saying, Glenmere Park. A lovely, scenic... What is all that racket going on over there? To my surprise, there were several dozen people on the hill, wearing armor, carrying weapons, and dueling each other. I stumbled upon a meeting of one of the most unusual clubs that UNC has to offer, Bearsgate.
The SCA is a pre-Renaissance living history society, and we recreate 17th century life.
The Society for Creative Anachronisms, also known as the SCA, is an organization recognized internationally. Northern Colorado, called Unserhafen by players, falls under one of the 20 kingdoms of the known world called the Outlands. This branch of the Unserhafen barony, Bearsgate, was founded around a year and a half ago by Sky Sutherland and Cody Field.
Sky posted a story on Snapchat though saying like, hey, our school doesn't have an SCA chapter, and the SCA is a cool historical reenactment society for like knights and things. And I was like, well, that's cool and exactly up my alley.
There are two types of meetings you'll find Bearsgate members at. Either donning plate mail to enter heavy combat training.
That is the joy of black work.
Or picking up a quill to indulge in the arts of the time period.
Some sauce.
This is kind of cool.
I was able to attend both events hosted by Bearsgate, asking myself why very few people knew about it.
So make sure you do your own little things.
We didn't have the Facebook. A lot of the information that we got was through word of mouth.
Bearsgate is made up of not only UNC students, but surrounding community members like Hammonds as well, with around 25 to 30 active members at any given time. If you don't happen to have the tools on hand, Bearsgate has you covered.
We're working on helping create a lot of sets of loner armor, because not everybody's going to have a set of medieval armor or stuff that is safe for combat.
Made from recycled plastic drum barrels, the armor is heat molded, fastened together, and is suitable to endure heavy combat.
It's really not too bad. It slows you down, and you can feel the weight for moving, but it's not uncomfortable or difficult at all.
The Bearsgate Club has made such a large impact regionally to the SCA that many of its members have won awards.
I received an award called the Order of the Dancing Monkey, which essentially is an award of, hey, you're kind of a funny guy. You make this barony a better place.
Bearsgate is always open to new members and are inviting anyone who is interested into their ranks.
Greg Egbert, Bear News.
Thanks, Greg. I might have to go check out Bearsgate myself and see if they have any armor that will fit me.
You're pretty tall.
Yeah,
so that's going to be a lot of armor.
We'll see.
I want to wear armor.
Me too.
That looks cool. I think I would look cool. I wouldn't do it for the fighting, though.
I'd love to fight.
And moving on. Looking for a fun way to incorporate math into your hobbies? Reporter Seth DiMarino checked into the UNC Math Club to find the answer.
What happens when mathematics meets creativity? The Chair of Mathematics and Health Science, Dr. Jody Novak, may have an answer with some Math Club fun in Ross Hall.
I'm not just always focused on or thinking about work.
She's joined by students on this night for crafting, crochet, and conversation, speaking on how important it is to escape the work and school world for a little from time to time.
It means that work is not my entire identity. Right, I do other things, I have hobbies.
Aside from the break it gives, Dr. Novak also enjoys crafting items for a purpose.
And I get to make things. I make blankets for my family, nieces and nephews, friends who have babies. I make blankets, hats, sweaters.
During the event, Novak also emphasized to the students how crochet is much more than just needles and yarn.
I knit almost every day. It's sort of part of my way of decompressing. Like, okay, just be calm, me and my yarn. I have complete control.
The event was served to provide the members of the math club with a fun way to incorporate math into a real-world hobby. She taught the class first how to crochet, then began teaching them how to turn yarn into hyperbolic planes through crochet.
And they look like this. And in this particular world, you can talk about triangles, lines, all the same things that you do on the plane.
Also teaching the class how longitudinal lines have everything to do with how the hyperbolic planes relate to the club.
And if you take a point off the line, there's many lines that go through this point that don't intersect the original line. So you get to do geometry.
While providing food and drinks for the students, for over an hour, the group worked and enjoyed their time crocheting. The event was such a success among the students that the club also planned on meeting next week to continue the fun.
What a fun way to incorporate something fun into math. The club is always accepting new members. For any information about the club, stop by Ross Hall in room 290 from 5 to 6 on Wednesdays and some Fridays.
Last week, Wing Shack, a Northern Colorado restaurant chain, announced that they would be moving into the space that used to be Kenny's Steakhouse. Some residents are excited for another place to fuel up for game day, others not so much. Bear News reporter Adam Johnson got us up to date with the changes.
Kenny's Steakhouse is a Greeley legend, having served the community for nearly 30 years. But due to economic challenges, the beloved restaurant had to close its doors in October.
Makes me sad, especially since I've worked for local businesses since my time in Greeley, so I know the community support of local businesses is really strong.
In a post to the Kenny's Facebook account in October, owners Matt and Leona Larson announced that while the restaurant would be closing, the memories, friendships, and spirit of Kenny's will live on in the hearts of everyone who walked through our doors. The restaurant closed 2 weeks later. The space isn't staying empty for long, however. The Wing Shack off of 10th Street will be moving to what used to be the home of Kenny's Steakhouse. Many Kenny's fans have taken to social media to share their opinions on this move. One commenter wrote, "Not impressed. We need another Wing Shack like we need another auto parts store in Greeley." Another wrote, "Kenny's to Wing Shack? Downgraded big time. I like Wing Shack, but I'd rather have a Cane's."
Greeley already has a lot of those locations, and they're pretty close by and pretty close range of each.
Thank you, Adam. The new Wing Shack is set to open its doors sometime this spring, and for my fellow red meat lovers out there, I can see how this would be a disappointment.
Tomorrow night, the College of Humanities and Social Sciences is hosting the Honors Convocation, where they will celebrate the academic achievements of undergraduate students. Honorees will receive recognition for their hard work and dedication, as well as be presented with a certificate of accomplishment. Journalism falls into HSS, and here at Bear News, we have 3 members who will be recognized.
Sports director and anchor Conlon Moe is a 25-year-old senior from Parker, Colorado, and after college, he wants to be an analyst for ESPN or coach football. Director of content and anchor Sophia Tavanello is a 22-year-old from Littleton, Colorado, and after college, well, she still isn't sure what she wants to do.
I really don't.
Finally, digital producer and reporter Adam Johnson is from Oviedo, Florida, and after school, he plans to move to Chicago and start auditioning. The convocation will take place from 6:30 to 8 p.m. in the Grand Ballroom of the University Center. Light refreshments will be provided.
It's going to be kind of fun. I've never gone to one of these, so this is going to be kind of interesting. I get to see my family, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. That sounds real nice.
It's quite an honor, so congrats Conlon and Adam as well. And coming up after the break, we'll talk more about how the King Super Strike has affected the Girl Scouts and some of President Trump's new policies. We'll be right back.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside, and then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. He won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, and being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
At the beginning of the month, King Soopers employees went on strike across many Colorado locations. This left the Girl Scouts scrambling for new cookie booth sites. Bear News reporter Serena Robal took a closer look.
It's Girl Scout cookie season. Everywhere you turn, there's delicious cookies.
My favorite cookie, I think it'd have to be a Thin Mint. It's a pretty common answer, but I really do like them.
However, the Girl Scouts of Colorado are having a hard time selling cookies due to the King Soopers strikes.
All the King Soopers by us aren't on strike, so we haven't had problems, but I know a ton of Girl Scouts have had huge issues with the King Super strikes.
Girl Scouts planned to sell outside of over 77 King Soopers. However, when the strike started, there was a significant loss of booth locations. The funds from the cookies are used to support their summer trips. With the strike continuing, Sharing is hoping her trip makes enough sales.
We're doing London over the summer because of all of the hard work and money we get from doing Girl Scout cookies.
The cookie program isn't just about selling cookies, but teaching the girls lifelong skills of money management, goal setting, and entrepreneurship.
Customers' reactions and the actual getting to learn the business skills behind it, with all of the learning how to sell, what do you do like door to door, being able to stand out inside in the cold.
The Girl Scouts of Colorado hopes that as the cookie season continues, more and more businesses will partner with them and open booths. This has been Serena Wabal with Bear News.
If you're craving some Girl Scout cookies, you can check booth locations on their website at girlscoutsofcolorado.com/findcookies.
On Thursday, President Trump announced new names that he plans to add to the future site of the National Garden of American Heroes. The garden was part of a series of executive orders signed near the end of President Trump's first term, but that was revoked by President Biden in 2021. The premise of the garden is a statue park filled with important figures through America's cultural history, like Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and even Walt Disney. Since Trump is back in office, the plan for the garden is back on, and new names were added to the list. At the Black History Month reception held at the White House, the list included athletes like Kobe Bryant, Jackie Robinson, and Muhammad Ali. Other names that were added include Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and Frederick Douglass. No information has been revealed on when or where the garden will be, but the plan is for it to be open to the public on July 4th, 2026.
Last Wednesday, President Donald Trump proposed giving $5,000 stimulus checks to taxpayers. The money would come from the savings uncovered by the Department of Government Efficiency, also known as DOGE. It would benefit the tax-paying citizens and be an incentive to report waste, fraud, and abuse in their community. The idea was first brought up by James Fishback, an investment firm CEO on X, and it caught the attention of Elon Musk. Musk ran the idea by President Trump, and he talked about it twice during the FII summit in Miami.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible, Elon. So many billions of dollars, billions, hundreds of billions, and we're thinking about giving 20% back to the American citizens.
Fishback claims that it wouldn't worsen inflation as the checks would come from existing appropriations. While this plan could benefit taxpayers, there is concern about whether low-income households would miss out. Speaking of taxpayers, the Internal Revenue Service began laying off roughly 6,000 of its employees on Thursday as part of the Trump administration's push to downsize the federal workforce. The terminations are targeting relatively recent hires in the IRS, which the Biden administration attempted to revitalize with a surge of funding and new staff. These layoffs come in the middle of tax season, and many have warned that this could disrupt the abilities of millions to file their taxes. Skepticism will remain within members of Congress, and discussions will continue. We will be sure to bring more updates as the story progresses.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed revenge on Friday for what he described as a cruel and malice violation of the ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel. This comes after authorities determined that a dead hostage released by Hamas that day was not an Israeli mother of two small boys, as the militant group had promised. Hamas suggested in a statement that a mix-up of remains might have occurred after Israel bombed the area where both the Israeli hostages and Palestinians were present.
Coming up after the break, we'll have our sports section hosted by our sports reporter, Conlon Moe. We'll be right back.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill? No.
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm sports reporter Conlon Moe, and let's go ahead and dive into what happened in Greeley and around the world this past week. The Colorado Grit, Greeley's local NAHL hockey team, they returned home this weekend. Currently outside of the playoff picture, the Grit looked for a big weekend as they played back-to-back games against the Shreveport Mud Dogs. The Grit were welcomed back both home games, both nights, with the crowd showing out. This season, the Grit have been known to have an amazing defense and a tough mentality, and have showcased it in two scrappy and physical games. Game 1 saw the Grit lose in a shootout on Friday night, but they were able to make up for it the following night, securing the win in overtime. They were able to walk it up the weekend with 3 points against a top-ranked Shreveport team with just 3 more games on the year. Look to cheer on your Grit as they continue on for their push for the playoffs. Now let's move on to a story that combines UNC Athletics with the city of Greeley. Andrew Lirez has officially wrestled his last match in the Bank of Colorado Arena. Yesterday, he moved to 12-0 during the 2024 season. He won 4 state titles out of Greeley Central High School and has been on a dominant run in his home city. Greeley's native son, as he has been called, will look to finish this final season with the Bears by doing something only he has done, winning a national title. Alirez is currently ranked in the top 3 of the 141-pound weight class. He will look to defend that national title he won after the Olympic redshirting last season. Now, Alirez will be looking forward to his life as a professional athlete. He could obviously become a pro wrestler, not WWE of course, but he has also expressed interest in turning to an MMA fighter after college. Now, future UFC champ Alirez, that's something I would love to see. We wish him and the rest of the team the best of luck heading to the postseason. This past week in the sports world, it was All-Star Weekend, and the NHL did something new by introducing the Four Nation tournament. The new setup saw star players in the NHL represent their country, and the 4 teams that were represented were the United States, Canada, Finland, and Sweden. Now, this was nothing like what the other leagues are doing. Players were going full speed and giving it their all in games that shouldn't really matter. But hockey is a different kind of culture, and everyone was playing for what was on the front of their sweaters. The championship game of the tournament saw a rematch between America and Canada, and there was a lot of hype around this one, considering how the last game went. Now, while there weren't any physical altercations or fights, both teams were giving it their all, and after 3 periods, it just wasn't enough. The game went to overtime, and despite America having constant pressure on the offensive end, Canada went on to win after Connor McDavid just had to bury a wrist shot to ice the game. The championship game delivered on what fans were looking for, and it was a massive draw as the game drew in 9.3 million viewers on ESPN. That is the most viewed hockey game ever. Now, with America finishing second, Sweden took home 3rd place, and Finland was 4th. We won't be seeing the Four Nations tournament return for a couple years now due to the Winter Olympics happening next year. But this tournament was a nice little appetizer and should give hockey fans a taste on what's to come in Italy. Now, sticking to the topic of All-Star Games and how successful the Four Nations was, it brings up a discussion of how other leagues have handled theirs. And if you are an avid sports fan like myself, then you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, then let me tell you what I mean.
Over the years, the All-Star Games for the NBA and the NFL have gone down the drain. These are games where you are trying to see the very best in the world compete against one another. And it is so boring. All they ever do in the NBA now are three-point shots from the half court.
Shooting from half court as well. His second half court shot of the game.
Or have mini dunk contests. Football has been downgraded from being tackle football to flag football. Over the years, fans have seen the decline of effort in All-Star games, and you can include the NHL into that. Because before the Four Nations, it was the same story there where players are not giving any effort. Fans want to see the best in the world play their best against one another. That is why these games were made in the first place. But the dedication and care for them have forced the league to make changes to try and make it competitive. The NBA tries something new this year, putting the vets, world athletes, and young stars on separate teams. I mean, it worked for one game, but it was still a pathetic show of effort. The only possible answer at this point is to follow suit of what the NHL did with the Four Nations. Make the athletes represent something that matters. The NBA could easily make a U.S. versus World All-Star game. I mean, imagine next season seeing a team with Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, and Jalen Brunson going up against Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic. The U.S. players would play their butts off to show that they still run the game, and the world players are tough enough to give them a run for their money.
The Pro Bowl is the only one that will be difficult to fix because, I mean, you can't really do a U.S. versus the world teams. The only way to make that one right is if players just buck up and play the games as it should be. Hit people! Now, rounding off our segment, we go ahead and take a look at what's ahead for our Bears. Baseball will head down to the Springs for a game against Air Force tomorrow and then head to Nevada for a 4-game series from the 28th to March 3rd. Both basketball teams will face Northern Arizona Saturday. The men will fly down to Flagstaff and the women will be home. Softball will be in FOCO on March 1st and 2nd for the Colorado Division I Classic. Women's golf will head to Phoenix to go against GCU tomorrow and Wednesday. Finally, swimming and diving and the track and field teams will be competing in conference championships. That is it for your weekly sports, everyone. Thank you all for watching. I'm Con the Mo. I'll take it back to my colleagues at the desk, and Jameson, best of luck to you.
Thank you so much, Colin. That was a lot of good sports information.
Yeah, absolutely. Great work, Conlon.
All right, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Bear News. Make sure to tune in to our show on Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. I'm Sophia Tavanello.
And I'm Jameson Rembert, and we'll see you guys next time.